everyone. This is Nithya Ramachandra from the NR Hour Sports Show. This is episode 955. Today we are live on iHeartRadio, Spreaker, Anchor, and Spotify, and all the podcast platforms. So everyone, please tune in. I'm joined by a really special guest. His name is Micheal Boley. He's a former linebacker. He played for Southern Miss for college. He played for the Falcons, New York Giants, Cincinnati Bengals. He won the Super Bowl with the New York Giants. And really looking forward to this interview, learning more about his story. And first of all, Micheal, I just want to say thank you for joining the show. How are you and your family doing today?
I'm doing pretty good, man. I want to say thanks for having me on the show. And it's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, no problem. But before we go any further, I want to start off with getting your take on the legacy of John Madden. Obviously, you were in the Madden games, and we lost a legend. So I just want to get your take on him and share any experiences when you watched him and when you played in the league when John Madden was there.
I mean, it's actually hard to not mention John Madden when you speak about football.
Yeah.
From him, from his playing days to his coaching, his Hall of Fame coaching career to just him as an amazing broadcaster. Like, think of all the Sundays you turn the games on and you're hearing him play calling, or then his rundown of all the games on Sunday evenings after all the games are done. It's been spectacular just over the years, and he'll definitely be missed.
Yeah, so I want to start off with your childhood growing up here, and obviously you grew up in Alabama. When did you get interested in playing football, and what was it like growing up there, and who would you say your biggest role model was in that?
It was. I started playing football when I was 7. My biggest role model getting into football was my brother. He's a year and a half older than me, and obviously he started playing football before I did. So actually, just going out and watching him practice, just being out there with my mom and watching him practice, that kind of is what put me into wanting to play football.
Yeah. So, did you ever get to learn any multiple positions in football? And obviously, you played linebacker, but did you get to play on the offensive side also before choosing linebacker?
I didn't actually choose linebacker. It was kind of something that was thrust upon me. I was played running back and receiver in high school, and played a little bit corner, some safety, a little bit of safety, but mostly corner up until toward the end. I played safety. Got to college, and funny is I actually went and worked out with the tight ends my first day of college, and that afternoon the linebacker coach came and was like, "Look, we just want to try you at linebacker." He's like, "If you don't like it, you can go back." I didn't like it, but they kept me over there anyway, and just so happened everything worked out.
Yeah, so speaking of playing multiple positions, obviously in this generation, high school coaches or college coaches love to play players and versatile players. So for you, obviously in high school, you got to play 3 positions. And what was it like learning each position and this getting different aspects of it with the safety, wide receiver, and running back?
That was fun. I went to a small school, so we didn't have a lot of guys, and so I pretty much never came off the field, playing offense, defense, special teams. It was just kind of one of those things that, not gonna say had to do it, but I enjoyed doing it. And so it was a joy to actually learn so many different stuff. And I guess that kind of prepared me for the next level.
Yeah, so for you, senior year is a really important year for athletes, especially in high school when all the scholarships come in. And for you, what did you improve on in high school as a senior? And what was the main thing that you learned?
To be honest, back then, to me, it wasn't even a focus on just getting better at one thing. I was always busy, so I didn't really have time to be like, you know what, it's time for me to just focus on this particular aspect of football. Because right after football, I went into basketball. As soon as basketball was done, I went to baseball. And so I was always doing something. So I didn't really get that time to sit and think, all right, what do I need to work on?
Yeah, so
it was a lot different. It's a lot different now.
Mhm.
Now you got everyone, telling you, okay, you need to do this, you need to do this. And, a lot of guys didn't have that back then.
Yeah. So did you get any like advice while you were in high school from former football players or former players that you looked up to when you were younger?
No, I had I had a chance to attend a few small camps going into my senior year, but other than that, like I said, we were a super small school, and my high school coach did a good job of actually getting me some film together and actually sending it out to a few schools. And I only had two offers out of high school, so it was either Alabama A&M or Southern Miss, and I chose Southern Miss, and the rest was history.
Yeah. So speaking of that, tell our fans about your recruiting process and obviously Southern Miss and Alabama A&M. Were you surprised that Alabama didn't come calling? And did you ever think to yourself maybe choosing close to home, or what made you choose Southern Miss?
For starters, I didn't want to go to Alabama. I grew up an Auburn fan. Had to throw that out there. I mean, I would have loved to go to Auburn coming out. That was a dream from the time I was a kid. But like I said, I didn't hear anything from them. They didn't offer, which I understand. It's a big, lot of players come from down there, and
Yeah.
they can't get them all. For a while, Alabama A&M was the only school that was looking at me, and Southern Miss came knocking. And I had an older cousin on my dad's side of the family who actually at the time was a DB coach at Southern, and he came recruited me, and I didn't want to be close to home. Southern Miss wasn't too far from home, so that kind of worked out. And obviously having some distant cousins down there, so that helped.
Yeah, so obviously you had a great career in Southern Miss. You had 423 tackles, over 28 sacks, and you got awarded a trophy, awarded the best college football player with Southern Miss. So what was that like for you throughout your 4 years there in Southern Miss and having a great career there?
It was fun. Lots of memories. I still talk to some old friends, and we talk about, man, if we can go back and relive those days, we do it all over again. Building bonds and friendships, and it's just brothers. Building those special bonds that we've been able to keep over the years is definitely something that was special, and definitely a fun time to be remembered.
What does that trophy mean to you? When you got it, what was that like for you when you got the trophy?
Oh man, it was one of those moments you just you got to sit back and you got to take it in. I didn't even I did at the time. I had one of my teammates had won that trophy in the previous year, and at the time I was just having fun, and I didn't think that even be considered as the best player in the collegiate player in the state of Mississippi. So that was definitely a big honor, and I still have it sitting up in my office.
Is it sitting with your Super Bowl trophy? I mean, right?
uh, nah, it won't fit in the safe, but a ring is definitely in a safe place.
Yeah. So tell our fans, what was it like in general, Southern Miss atmosphere and the fans there must be crazy. And what was the college atmosphere like for you?
It was fun. Hattiesburg is a college town. Pretty much most things in Hattiesburg centers around Southern Miss, and so you know for us, it's business as usual during the week. Going to school, making sure we get all our schoolwork done and all that. But on the weekends, seeing all those people show up to the games and hearing that crowd cheer, that was special, man.
Yeah. So can you share some of your like best moments or best experiences as a Southern Miss player in your career?
Best moments, man. There was a lot. Geez. Uh, as a true freshman, well, I got redshirted, but I didn't play. I remember Southern Miss going to Birmingham to
Yeah.
beat Alabama 21-0. To sum it up, I'd say that for us as a team, football team, we prided ourselves on playing in big games. Like we didn't care who we played, where we played them, what time it was. Like we were going to show up and give you everything we got. And so, like I said, going from we played teams like Tennessee and Alabama.
Yeah.
We didn't play Mississippi. We didn't play Ole Miss and Mississippi State when I was in school. But always, I think we played Alabama actually every year.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was always a tough task for us, knowing, that there was a pretty good chance, it was going to be a slim chance of us coming out of there with a win, but we always look forward to that game.
Yeah. So now moving forward through your career, tell our fans about your draft experience. Obviously, you got drafted in 2005, round 5, pick 160 by the Atlanta Falcons, and what was that like waiting for your name to be called? And obviously once you got your name called, how relieved were you waiting with your family? And did you go through the green room process? And also tell about the draft experience.
It was frustrating. Back then, gosh, make me sound so old. Back then, the draft was the first, like it wasn't how it is now. Now it's the first day. It's just the first round.
Yeah.
So back then, it was that first day was the first 3 rounds.
Wow.
And at nobody's fault. I was told that I was projected to be like a second, third round pick. And so I, just sitting there, and that was a long process of actually just watching the entire first day, rounds 1, 2, 3. And it was frustrating because, and just at the time I felt like that I had put up pretty good numbers in college. I felt like I had a pretty good workout with the combine and pro days and all that good stuff. And, watched the first day and, not to knock on anybody. Like I still remember the last pick of the 3rd round of that year was Maurice Clarett.
Wow.
And I was, and I'm sitting there in my mind, I'm thinking like, wow, like this guy hadn't played football in 2 years. Like, am I even going to get drafted, And, I know it's a whole lot of stuff that goes into the draft process and, what teams need, so came second day, it was, still nerve wracking, just sitting there, just waiting. And, once I got drafted, I'm not going to say I was relieved. Like I was upset.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what, now it's time for me to go out here and show people what they missed out on. And so I was actually looking forward to, first thing in my mind was like, what, I'm ready to get to camp to kind of, get to work.
Yeah. So once you got drafted by Atlanta, what was the first thing you did with your family?
First thing I do with my family was and we just went to dinner. Like we didn't, we're simple, simple country folk, man. We didn't plan on doing anything much. We was all just sitting at a friend's house and watching the draft, and everybody was excited. I was the least excited, but everything worked out. It was a good experience to go through. So.
Yeah, so obviously what goes through your mind though, like obviously making to your goal, which was the NFL, working hard in high school, college, becoming the great football player that you are. And what goes through your mind that time after you get drafted and you finally realize that you made your dream?
Keep the dream.
Yeah.
Don't lose it. Once I got after the rookie minicamp, once we got back off season and everyone was showing up. I had a good group of veterans in my meeting room that was constantly telling what you're here makes you keep working to stay here. It's work to get in, work to stay in. And so it's kind of that mindset, like, all right, I'm here early, I'm staying late. Like I need to make sure I'm doing everything that I can do to make sure I can keep this job.
Yeah. So speaking of the roster you had, what's it like seeing players that you played with, obviously coming in as rookie? You played with Micheal, Vick, Warwick Dunn, Rodney White, Keith Brooking. What a great roster you play with. And what was it like for you coming in as a rookie and seeing players like that?
It was amazing because like prior to that year, was it Madden '04 it came out, so Vick was on the cover, and that was the year Madden the video game was everything. Everyone wanted to play with Atlanta so they can run around and run around with Michael Vick, and so it was I mean it was surreal to like to see guys that you grew up like watching on video games, and now you're actually on the same field with them, and not just guys on your team. Once you play other teams, you seen all these guys, and I mean, my first preseason game, I get in the game and Peyton Manning's still in the quarterback, and I'm like, wow, like seriously, and it's a lot of guys, I feel like they get the moments like, all right, I made it,
Yeah. So what do you say in practices going up against Warwick Dunn, Micheal Vick, Rodney White? Obviously, would you say that that made you become a better football player by going against them in practices?
I think that's just going against anybody.
Yeah.
Once you get to that level, everyone that you go against is the elite of the elite. They were the best player at their college. Now they're starting. They're one of the best players at their spot in their team. And so all that just prepares you, week in and week out.
Yeah. So what was it like learning from another great linebacker and Keith Brooking, obviously a great player in football in the NFL. So what was it like learning from him as a teammate on the field and off the field?
It was great. Keith was great. He was, learned a lot from him, when it came to on the field, how to handle yourself off the field. He's one of those guys who always did it the right way. And it was great to actually see that, as a young guy coming in and be able to learn from that.
Yeah, and I want to talk about Micheal Vick. Obviously, a great player, great football player. What was it like playing with him? And also he's been through a lot, obviously, after his career, but he's been doing great. Obviously, he's an analyst now, talking about NFL a lot. And what is it like this playing with him and seeing him go about his business?
I was great. I tell people to this day, I don't think I've seen many much better athletes on the field than him. Just the way he moved, he made it look like he was just ran with no effort. And he just, he's spreading past everybody. And obviously, once, he had his stuff going on and he came back, had a chance to play against him when he was in Philly, and
Yeah.
that was not fun. Let me just say that wasn't fun. But no, heck of an athlete. I'm so proud of like the way, like you say, he's an analyst now. So I'm so proud of the way he bounced back from his past and was able to move on and move past that and move on to bigger and better things.
Yeah. So tell our fans what would you say your best moments, best funny experiences that you had with Atlanta, and especially they have a great fan base, and they're still a young and growing team now. But when it comes to the fans, I think they have one of the best fan bases there in Atlanta. So share some of your best experience there with the fans?
Best experiences. Man, there's a lot. I mean, when I was there, we had a couple years where we were just, we were kind of under the, I ain't gonna say under the radar. It was some down years,
Yeah.
we, and so, the way the fans show up, week in and week out now, I can say it's better than it was then. Now, it's a little more, what you see is what you get.
Yeah.
Back then, we had some up and down times, and when Vick left, we had Petrino come in, and that was definitely not a good year.
Right.
We went, I think, 4-12, and so that was just that, which I don't blame the fans. We had a few games that year where the other team actually had more fans at our stadium than we did, and it's understandable. We were, I mean, for lack of a better word, we sucked that year. but the next year we drafted Matt Ryan, and man, when I say the fan base bounced back and still behind us, we made it to the playoffs that year, and it was a good run.
Yeah, so Matt Ryan, what a great quarterback he is in the league right now, still going at it. And I forgot to mention D'Angelo Hall, you got to play with. This guy is when it comes to tackling, I watch football all the time. I'm a Cowboy fan, and I watched D'Angelo Hall play with the Washington football team. So this guy, when it comes to hitting, man, this guy is a great cornerback / defensive back when it comes to hitting. So what was it like seeing him being on the same defense as you and going about his business too?
And I love Dita, man. He was a character.
Yeah.
He was one of those guys like from the day that I walked in, I think that was his second year. And, he just had that swagger about him, like, look, I'm here. I'm about to make stuff happen. And so, his attitude and the way he flew around the field, like it was contagious. So a lot of guys used to feed off that.
And, I was I'm a big Cowboy fan. It was hard seeing going against him sometimes. Yeah, and so obviously now moving forward in your career, obviously NFL is a business. A lot of players move from team to team. And do you ever think to yourself, maybe I could have spent your whole career with the Falcons, or what was it? How hard was it leaving the Falcons, but you got to go to the Giants?
Initially, first couple of years in Atlanta, like that was my mindset. Like my mindset was, man, I love Atlanta. I want to be here. Like, I was on a rookie deal, so I was hoping, like, man, I hope that I get another contract and I can stay here for the rest of my career. Obviously that didn't happen. I had a little riff with a couple of the coaches during my last year in Atlanta, and which I get it. It's a business, so they decided they didn't want me back, and I moved on to New York, which there was. I'm not gonna say there was no hard feelings, because there was when I, when I left, the way I left, and as I've gotten older, I'm like, you know what, it is a business. At the end of the day, you're not gonna see eye to eye with everybody, so
yeah,
changes had to be made. But for me, it was a change for the best. Went on to New York, played well there, like you said earlier. I won a ring, so I can't be mad at that.
And I actually had some of your former teammates on the show from that team. I had Brandon Jacobs last year and Fred Robbins on the show last year, and what a great two people I had a chance to talk to, and great teammates, obviously great personalities. And so, what was it like once you signed with the Giants? And obviously, you had a great talented roster that year. Eli Manning, I just mentioned Brandon Jacobs, Mario Manningham, Steve Smith, Kevin Boss, David Deal, Justin Tuck, OC, Michael Strahan. Matthias Kubanuka, Antonio Pierce, Corey Webster. I can go down the list. So, what was it like playing for the Giants?
It was great. A top-notch organization. From top to bottom, and you come in, they treat you right, and just through the brotherhood, I knew, I already knew guys from the team. Just knowing Brandon, like you said, Brandon, C. Webb. Those guys, like, I've known since, just post college before we got drafted. I always tried to keep up with guys who were in my draft class, and just so happened, I think me and Corey Webster actually went on a visit to the Giants before getting drafted.
Oh, wow.
And so, it was good to, like, those guys made me feel like I was at home when I got there. So it was good.
And obviously, it was a star-studded roster. And what was it like just coming in there? Obviously, already having experience in the NFL, so there was no pressure on you when you came in. So, what was it like to have not to have that much pressure and having stars around you too?
It was great. Antonio Pierce taught me. He taught me more about playing linebacker that one year than I had knew for a while, because it was different. I get there and, like you said, I've been around great linebackers before, but for like him, like the way he commanded the defense, like he was, to say Mike linebacker is the quarterback of the defense, the way he commanded it and got things in order, man, it was like, wow. And so, when he got hurt, it kind of still had him for the rest of that year, kind of in my ear, like, do this, do this, do this. And it kind of helped me better myself and put myself in better situations to make plays.
Yeah, so you speaking of teammates, you went from Michael Vick to Eli Manning, a completely different quarterback, but one of the great quarterbacks that I've seen too. So what was it like playing with Eli? Obviously now he's a social media. He's on Twitter. He's doing shows with his brother Peyton Manning on Monday Night Football. He's doing a lot of things right now. But for you, what is it like being his teammate, Eli?
That was great. Eli was. It was. He was a business guy. He showed up, and Eli can be a prankster, but when Eli showed up to work, he showed up to work, and he did a good job of helping the offense get what they needed to get done on a daily basis. Making sure they had the right reps at practice, and making sure he held guys accountable on and off the field. So he was a great teammate.
Yeah, and also you got to play with one of the best coaches, and Tom Coughlin. And what did you learn from him, Tom Coughlin, the GOAT?
Man, Coughlin's he's a hard nosed coach.
Yeah.
He no BS with him. He's when you step in that door, like playing for him that everything is business like. You leave everything, you shut everything out when you walk in the door. You can pick it back up when you leave. But he was great to play for. Some people, a lot of people didn't like him. He was hard. He demanded a lot from us. But can't be mad at that. You demand greatness, you get greatness. And so obviously he helped two different teams, to win Super Bowl. So that's awesome.
Yeah, so obviously, speaking of Super Bowl, tell our fans about your guys' Super Bowl run. Obviously, it's always hard to win the championship in all sports. So, what was the message that Tom Coughlin gave you guys and that year, and obviously you beat the Patriots that year too in the Super Bowl. So, take us through the experience.
It was a great experience. Pretty much just he always talked to us about being all in. All in. You got to commit to what we're doing here. We can't focus on what the media is saying, how the fans are reacting to us playing. And we had an up and down year that year. And, going into that Jets game is what propelled us that year. We were still I felt like we were still kind of in a lull. And then, Cruz had the big touchdown catch up the sideline. But, after that, we as players kind of looked at each other like, all right, guys, like, we all we got. What are we going to do as a team to make sure we're prepared week in and week out? We put a lot of work in, especially on the defensive side. Can't really speak for the offense. I'm sure they did their work, but us, many nights we had extra meetings with all the defensive backs, the linebackers, just to make sure, we're on top of everything. Because it was a lot of different teams were throwing a lot of different stuff at us, and we had to make sure we were prepared.
Yeah. So, what was it like being in the Super Bowl, playing the Patriots? Obviously, a great team on the other side, and obviously everybody knows about the first Super Bowl, but this one, the second one, and what was it like just beating the Patriots in the Super Bowl?
And it was a great feeling. Like you said, being in the Super Bowl, like it doesn't come often. I've just through over the years, I've seen players who in the league a long time never even make it. So being there was a moment that was definitely cherished, and it was one of those moments that I'll never forget. When that clock reads all zeros and we're still up, man. It was an amazing feeling.
Yeah, obviously, once everything hits, the confetti goes. Obviously, you're getting the trophies, the post games, and having those press conferences. And when you get into the locker room, you celebrate more. And Fred Robbins is a big cigar guy. Are you a big cigar guy?
Not as much as I used to be. When I was younger in the league, I would do the cigars. I'll do one every now and then now, but not as much.
So, what was did you guys like? when you were in the locker room? What do you guys do? Pop cigars, champagne, or what was the celebration?
Cigars, champagne, everyone's, taking videos, to as keepsakes to, but, it's one of those moments that, everyone just took it in.
Yeah. So, what was it like winning a Super Bowl for New York? New York, obviously, we're a passionate fan base, and when it comes to New York, every team expects to win quickly. So, for you, what was it like just winning a championship in New York and in front of the?
Oh man, winning a championship in New York, spectacular. You can't even. Sorry,
It's all right.
you can't even. I mean, just the just the parade itself is just, man. Being in the city and you're seeing everyone. It's going through the city and you're seeing people that are at work, hanging out of their office windows, going through the city. Some people, they're not even throwing confetti. They're just throwing copy paper out of the windows to say that they threw something.
Wow.
So
Yes. Yeah. So obviously, tell our fans and what was it like playing in the NFC East? Obviously, a tough division, and obviously playing against my Cowboys, Washington. You got the Eagles. So what was it like battling in the NFC East?
oh man, it was great. At the time, like overall we had one of the best divisions top to bottom. I think we went quite a few years in a row with the same team not winning division.
Yes.
In fact, consecutively.
Mm-hmm.
Personally, growing up, I didn't like the Cowboys. So even, that was even more confidence for me, getting a chance to play against them a couple times a year. But it was a fun division.
And then obviously after your New York Giants career, you go to Cincinnati. That's where you end your career. And what was that free agency process like? Did the Giants have interest in you coming back, or was it time to move on again?
Yeah, it was time to move on. And, at the time I had some injuries and, it's all part of the business. Luckily, I got a call and got a call from Cincinnati.
Mhm.
Mike Zimmer was the D coordinator, so that helped. I played for Zimmer in '07 when I was in Atlanta, so that was familiar. So I guess it kind of worked out that them wanting a familiar face, somebody kind of knew their scheme a little bit.
Yeah, so speaking of the Bengals, congrats to them, by the way, yesterday winning the division, and they're a dangerous team, obviously, in this year. And I'm going to say this for Joe Burrow, like Stephen A. Smith says to Aaron Rodgers, Joe Burrow is a bad man. Dude, this guy,
Yeah.
they got Jamar Chase. But for you, what was it like playing for the Jungle, for playing in Cincinnati? They have an awesome fan base. Obviously, you play with great players like Carlos Dunlap, Michael Johnson, James Harrison, Geno Atkins. What was that like for you?
It was great. It's kind of one of those new experiences because I wasn't there for the off season.
Yeah.
Come in like a couple weeks into the season and then boom, it's kind of like you're here. But it was good. Coach Lewis was great. He did he was a great coach as far as like knowing how to handle a team, knowing how to handle adversity, how to help them bounce back, and it was a great experience.
Yeah, speaking of Marvin Lewis, I'm surprised he still hasn't got another chance in the coaching thing because this guy is a heck of a coach, and um, also Jim Caldwell deserves another chance. A minority in coaches, it still needs to improve. And what was the main thing that you learned from Marvin Lewis throughout your Bengals career?
Um, just that don't limit yourself. Marvin's always, I'd be on the side and done with my linebacker stuff. He'd come up and be like, what do you think about playing this spot over here on field goal? And I'm over here thinking in my head, like, I ain't never did that. He's like, go try it. And, it helped me, something an older coach told me early in my career. He was like, the more you can do, the longer you can play. And so Marv was always good about putting guys in the best position to keep playing.
Yeah, obviously this division you played in, it was a tough one too. You got the Steelers, Browns, Ravens. Obviously, Bengals Steelers matchups can be a little intensifying and crazy. So, what was it like battling against the Steelers?
It was great for me personally. It was great. My dad's a longtime Steelers fan, so that was definitely something we could sit around the table and talk about. So that was definitely something that was very enjoyable for me.
Yeah. So, now how grateful are you to be in this position? Obviously, winning a Super Bowl with the Giants and playing in the NFL. Obviously, your dream and working hard. And how grateful are you to be in this position right now?
Very. I mean, the percentage of all high school players making it to the league is like less than 1%. So that's a very select few. And so I was definitely grateful for the opportunity, with every organization I played with, the Falcons, the Giants, the Bengals. Um, like I said, I know a lot of guys, they have that dream, they don't get a chance to make it. Some guys make it, they don't last that long. It's say NFL stands for not for long. So
Yeah.
very grateful for the experience and the opportunity to play in the NFL.
Yeah. So now, what's it like sharing your stories, your experiences on shows like these, other podcasts you've been on, and other interviews you did? How great? What's it like sharing your stories now on these platforms?
It's good. For me, I hope that some kid from some small place like where I'm from will see this kind of stuff and you know think that no dream is too big. I always love being able to give back and share my story, and it's great. It's always, I think, for us, for guys in the league, whether we want to or not, whether we want to be or not, like you're a role model for somebody. So, you know, pay it forward, give back.
Yeah. So, what advice would you give to young athletes now, and now they're trying to get to their goals and reach their dreams? So, what advice would you give them?
Don't give up. It's always going to be somebody at some level trying to knock you down, pull you back down, trying to put stuff in your way for you not to get there. There a lot of people try to put doubt in your head, especially if they don't see themselves going there, but they think that you can make it, they'll try to hold you back. Never stop trying.
Yeah. So, obviously, after your career, you're doing great things now. And for you, if the right opportunity comes up to you, what do you consider being a coach in college or NFL or high school?
Oh man, uh, I can't say that I wouldn't, but if it was the right opportunity for me, then yeah, I would consider it.
So, have you how often do you watch the game a lot now after your career?
Yeah, I didn't watch it much for the first couple of years after I got done because it was a little hard watching the game. But now that I've been able to, sit back and just enjoy the game for what it is, I watch it.
Do you miss playing?
Sometimes my body doesn't, but sometimes I miss it.
So, this is a two-part question. So, what are your thoughts so far on this season? Obviously, you're coming to the end quickly. Next, they added another week, so one more week after this. And what are your thoughts on this season? It's crazy. And and the next part to this question: does any linebacker that you watch now remind you of yourself?
um, I think the season's good. It's been one of those seasons where I hate that over the last couple of years you see a lot more injuries.
Yeah.
I know we're trying to make the game safer for everyone, but I obviously keep seeing more and more injuries, year in, year out. I don't know. I know the extra game it's good for the owners.
Yeah.
They're going to make more money. I feel like this is just my personal opinion. I feel like they should give the guys another game check. Don't stretch the money they're already making over another week. Give them another check on top of what they was already going to make.
I agree. Game check. That needs to happen for sure.
Oh man, linebackers that man, trying to think. There's some good linebackers. I like the guy in Indianapolis.
What's his name? Darius Leonard? No.
Yeah. I like the linebacking core in Tampa. I like those guys. It's a good
Levante David.
Yeah. Those are good. I like those guys.
So
those guys can do it all. Michael Parsons, you know, pretty much wherever you want to put him. You know, he's a beast.
He better win Defensive Rookie of the Year this year.
Yeah, I'm sure he will.
Yeah. So, did you have throughout your career, did anyone give you any nicknames, or have you been in part of like funny pranks? Tell our fans about your funny days as a player, like pranks or did anyone give you nicknames?
Not really nicknames. I mean, from the time I was a kid, everyone always called me by my last name. So it's weird. You know, it'd be weird if somebody actually called me by my first name when I was playing. Fun times, man. It was, gosh. I mean, I guess there's a time that, you know, you have to make sure you hide your phone at training camp from Eli, because if not, he'd come and change your language on your phone. If you didn't lock it, he'd change the language on your phone and you wouldn't be able to get in it. So, yeah, that was definitely a Manning thing. So,
did you speaking of the Giants, and obviously they're still developing a young team, and what do you think needs to change there in New York? Obviously, it's not always the coach's fault, but do you think this time is a coach like Joe Judge? Do you think it's time to move on from Joe Judge, or what are your thoughts on this Giants team?
I don't think it's time to move on from Joe Judge. At this point, I think it's just personnel. You know, we gotta get some better guys in there, and it's not the skill guys. I think it starts up front. You know, I want to say 2015, 2016, Giants went 10-6, missed the playoffs. Didn't really have a good O-line. They haven't fixed the O-line since. And so to me, it doesn't matter who your quarterback is, who your running back receivers are. Like if you can't protect those guys, you know, get a quarterback time to throw the ball, get a running back, you know, open some holes for them. It doesn't matter who you put back there. So I think that's where it's going to start. Like I said, that's just my personal opinion. So I think that's definitely something that's going to, you know, need to be addressed in the offseason.
I'm going to say this. What was your pregame? I mean, your hype music?
Hype music, man. It just depends, you know. It really just depended on what game it was. You know, I'm from the South, so I, you know, used to listen to anybody, you know, from Atlanta, like Jeezy and those guys. So that was
my hype music when I work out is "Dreams of Nightmares" with Micheal.
Okay, yeah, that was a good one.
That gets me going. That's a real hype music right there.
Oh yeah.
Well, I want to ask you this: did you reach out to Michael Strahan when he went up to space, the Blue Origin?
I did not, but he's better than me. I mean, I probably wouldn't have did it, but you know, like to keep my feet on the ground. You know, I'm not scared of heights, but man, you know, you going to that space, man. That's a whole different animal, man.
I mean, if you don't get into code, obviously, speaking of analysts, obviously some of your former teammates are analysts now, but if you don't get into coaching, would you consider being an analyst, like for Fox Sports or NFL Network or ESPN?
I would. You know, those are, you know, it's, you know, for me personally, I love sitting with, you know, old teammates or people who know the game and actually can sit and, you know, we talk about the game and break down stuff that happened. So I like that kind of stuff.
Or you should start your own podcast or something. You'll be a great analyst or podcast.
Right.
Yeah. So before we get to the last two things, I'm going to put you on the spot here. Obviously, it's too early to tell who's going to be in the Super Bowl. But who would you say from the teams you've been watching, and who do you think who has a real chance to make it to the Super Bowl, and who do you think wins the Super Bowl?
Let me see. NFC. I think if the Packers defense can hold up, I'd either take them or the Rams if they can stay consistent.
Mm-hmm.
AFC, like I said, the Chiefs are kind of
up and down.
They're kind of up and down right now. So
I got the Bengals on the AFC.
It'll be tough in the AFC to see that, because there's so many teams. There's not one team in the AFC that just completely stands out. Some of them are up and down each week, and but if I had to pick one, I don't know. You know what? It may sound crazy, but I like Indy. Like I like what they do.
Yeah.
As far as running the ball, and because not many teams do that anymore. Besides Tennessee before Derrick Henry got hurt, but not too many teams gonna line up and run the ball at you and make you like it. So I think it'd be between those, and if I had to pick, I gotta go with A-Rod, man. That's my class of 05, man. I gotta go with it, man.
Yeah, I mean, their running back Jonathan Taylor is legit. This guy is a stud. He needs to win MVP this year somehow. Also, speaking of, I want to ask you. I'm just curious. What do you like about this year's NFL? Because it's wide open to the championship, so you don't know which teams can make it, but anything can happen. Do you like the way it is right now, which is wide open?
Yeah, I mean, you think about the year that we won. Yeah. I mean, nobody expected us. I mean, we were 9-7 going into the playoffs, and nobody expected us to make a run. So I think right now, I think it's good, because there's no clear picture on who is going to run away with it.
Mm-hmm. So the last two things here before I let you go, our team is part of this foundation. It's called the Hugh Jackson Foundation. I'm sure you know him. He's a former NFL coach. He was the offensive coordinator at Tennessee State. He's now the head coach for Grambling State, and we're trying to help him. We're trying to help him prevent human trafficking, making sure the community stays safe, the kids stay safe, and it's still horrible out there what we're seeing. So we're coming up with ways how to prevent that stuff. So I'll send you the foundation so you can go check it out.
I appreciate that.
And the last thing here, would you like to say anything to all the nurses, doctors, and all the essential workers right now?
Oh, man, I would, as my mom was a nurse for most of her life. She's still alive, by the way. She's just not nursing. Hats off to you guys, you essential workers. With everything going on, I mean, myself, I'm sure millions of other people appreciate all the work that you guys put in, putting yourself on the front lines. Keep up the hard work, and we appreciate you.
Yeah, tell your mom that we said thank you for her service.
No problem, I will.
Yeah, and there it is. That wraps up episode 955 with former Southern Miss, former NFL linebacker Micheal Boley, Super Bowl champion from the New York Giants, also played for the Bengals and Falcons. What a great career, man. This guy is a class act on the field and off the field. Go follow him on all social media formats. It was great talking to you, great learning your story, man. Thank you for coming on the show. It's truly an honor, and we would like to have you back on the show one day again so you can meet the full team. But keep up the great work. I'm hoping you get a coaching gig. You become a great coach, or whatever you do, man. You'll be a great podcaster, analyst, whatever you get. Just keep it up, man. Keep up the great work. And it was great to learn your story. And thank you again. And stay safe.
All right, man. I appreciate you having me on, man.
And also Happy New Year too.
All right, same to you, man.
Thank you.
All right.